Social media for the past few days has been abuzz with expression of disappointments over the government's selection of candidates who bagged special state awards on the occasion of the National Constitution Day. The government has been flayed, citing that some genuine candidates missed out, while those who made it were criticized for their work within the department, but surprisingly made it to the list of recipients of the coveted medals for their outstanding contribution to the society. Good morning, I'm Amar Singh Pradhan, and these are the headlines of the hour. Ruling Nepal Communist Party's Secretariat Committee recommends the Prime Minister to reshuffle the cabinet, criteria to retain and release ministers on the cards. A total number of 1,325 new cases of COVID-19 confirmed in the country yesterday, taking the total tally past 64,000. Health guidelines openly flouted. The U.S. closes in on 200,000 COVID-19 deaths despite making progress after a difficult summer. India's COVID-19 case tally crosses 5.4 million mark. And Delhi Capitals come from the brink to win against Kings 11 Punjab in Super Over in the second encounter of the Indian Premier League. Chairman of the ruling Nepal Communist Party and Prime Minister K.P. Sharma Oli, who had been blamed for running the government in a unilateral way, has finally agreed in reshuffling the cabinet. The Secretariat Committee meeting of the ruling party, chaired by Executive Chairman Pushpakamal Dahal, yesterday recommended Premier Oli to change the overall structure of the incumbent Council of Ministers. We have more in this report.
The Secretariat Committee meeting of the ruling Nepal Communist Party held on Sunday was considerably very significant for ending the inter-party power conflict within the party and for a group discussion to run the government. The meeting that lasted for almost 4 hours discussed on running the party and reshuffling the cabinet. The meeting was held at the former Maoist Centre's office in Peristada for the first time after the agreement on power sharing between Chairman duo Prime Minister K.P. Sharma Oli and Executive Chairman Pushpakamal Dahal. Prior to this, the party's Secretariat Committee meetings were held at the Prime Minister's official residence in Baluwadar. Premier Oli attended Sunday's meeting chaired by Executive Chairman Dahal till the end and listened patiently to what everyone had to say. During the meeting, leaders suggested Prime Minister Oli to completely restructure the current cabinet, considering and balancing social, regional and caste inclusion.
नीतिगत रूपमा पुनर्गठनका सन्दर्भमा सुझाव दिएको छ र त्यसबारेमा व्यक्तिहरुका नामका सन्दर्भमा भने आज हामी प्रवेश गरेका छैनौं। आवश्यकता पर्यो भने प्रधानमन्त्रीसँग त्यसबारेमा पछिनै छलफल हुन्छ। आज नीतिगत रूपमा क्राइटेरियाहरुका बारेमा विभिन्न कोणबाट सुझावहरू दिएका छन्।
The meeting unilaterally voiced for changing the Council of Ministers as a whole. Senior leader Chalanath Khanal, however, informed that Prime Minister Oli has the right whether to endorse the meeting's recommendations. Premier Oli attending the meeting that was held at the former Maoist Centre's office in Peristada for the first time after party unification some 28 months ago has been considered as part of the power-sharing agreement reached on 11th of September between the chairman duo as per the recommendation made by the special task force that was formed to resolve the inter-party dispute. The meeting also mulled over completing the remaining tasks of party integration at the earliest.
सांगठनिक एकीकरणका बाँकी कामहरू पूरा गर्ने बारेमा पनि कार्यसूची राखिएको छ र चौथो विविधको कार्यसूची तय गरिएको छ। विविध अन्तर्गत संगठन विभागका निर्णयहरूका सन्दर्भमा छलफल र अनुमोदन सम्बन्धी प्रस्ताव, स्थायी कमिटी र केन्द्रीय कमिटीका रिक्त रहेको सदस्यहरूको पदपूर्ति।
Prime Minister Oli has been facing criticism from the party leadership itself for appointing ministers and officials at public positions one-sidedly, overlooking the party's decision. The Secretariat Committee meeting held on Sunday has been taken as the beginning of a process for institutionalizing the government and the party as well. 3 ministries under the federal government are currently vacant, while it has been also understood that voices have been raised to replace incumbent ministers who have completed their tenure of 2 years. The coordination between the party and the government now lies on Prime Minister Oli's decision based on the recommendations given by the party's Secretariat Committee.
A total number of 1,325 new cases of COVID-19 were confirmed in the country yesterday, taking the coronavirus tally to 64,122. Meanwhile, 10 individuals succumbed to the virus yesterday, which took the COVID-19 death tally to 411. Speaking at the press briefing yesterday, a spokesperson for the Health Ministry, Dr. Jageswar Gautam, informed that a total of 9,584 swab samples were tested yesterday through the PCR method, taking the test tally in the country to over 914,000. As of the latest updates, 767 coronavirus cases were reported from the federal capital yesterday itself. 602 cases were reported in Kathmandu district alone, 101 in Kantipur and 64 in Lalitpur yesterday. Likewise, Rupandai district confirmed 115 new cases, Morang 63, Baki 32, Kaski 30, Surkhet 29 and Rautahat 26. Meanwhile, 966 individuals were discharged after registering full recovery yesterday. With this, the number of individuals registering full recovery has reached 46,233, taking the recovery rate to 72%. According to the Health Ministry, there are 17,478 active cases in the country, out of which 9,071 are in isolation centers, while 8,407 are in home isolation. A total of 7,451 individuals are in quarantine centers across the country. The Health Ministry informed that 36 patients are receiving treatment in ventilators and 190 in intensive cares. The local levels have been overlooking the directives of the Health Ministry regarding the test for COVID-19. There is a lack of uniformity in testing swab samples as local levels follow different guidelines. Some local levels conduct tests on individuals at least 3 times, while many declare the patients virus-free after staying in home isolation for 2 weeks without even testing. We have more in this report.
Out of around 1,400 cases reported in Kantipur so far, more than 600 are from Kantipur Timi municipality alone. Some 250 individuals are in home isolation in Timi. The municipality, however, does not declare the patients who have stayed in home isolation for 14 days as virus-free, although the Health Ministry has issued directives not to test asymptomatic patients. Instead, the municipality has been carrying out tests on individuals through the PCR method for up to 3 times. The mayor of Kantipur Timi opined that the municipality has set up a guideline to test until the results are negative in order to avoid community transmission. Suryabinayak and Changanarayan municipalities are also following similar guidelines, while Kantipur municipality does not carry out the test for patients staying in home isolation for 14 days, considering them as recovered individuals. The health office is lagging behind as there is no uniformity among the local levels of the same district. Such scenarios are being witnessed throughout the country as local levels are carrying out tests on their own discretion. The Health Ministry, however, has circulated directives not to carry out tests through the PCR method, saying that as per the World Health Organization's guideline, the virus gradually gets weak after 10 days of confirmation. The ministry had issued such directives previously as well. However, it corrected its decision as COVID-19 patients who had been sent back home started showing symptoms. Experts opine the recent decision of the ministry could be risky for community transmission. Likewise, lack of uniformity among the local levels in carrying out tests could also promote irregularities.
Containers with materials worth 20 billion rupees of Nepalese traders have been stuck at 2 transit points of China for the past 8 months. The Chinese side has been reluctant to release the containers, citing the coronavirus pandemic. The government has not taken any diplomatic initiatives to address the demand of the traders to release the stranded containers. According to Nepal Trans-Himalayan Border Commerce Association, some 2,000 containers laden with materials worth 20 billion rupees have been stranded in Kerung and Tatapani border transits. Out of the 2,000 containers, 50% are laden with clothes and footwear imported for summer, while some 200 containers with fruits have already rotted. Traders are clueless regarding the condition of other materials. Meanwhile, they are urging the government and the Nepalese embassy in Beijing for diplomatic initiatives. However, their demand has not been addressed yet. The Chinese government has restricted cross-border movement, citing the coronavirus pandemic. The confirmation of a COVID-19 case in one of the labours and a glacier burst in Tibet are also considered reasons for shutting down the border. However, trading in China has already normalized. It is speculated that it will take at least 4 months to release all these containers and clear customs, given that China allows border movement. Meanwhile, the Commerce Ministry has claimed of taking initiatives to release the stranded containers. Traders have been incurring huge losses, while it is likely to create shortage of materials during the upcoming Dasai and Tihar festivals if the government fails to take immediate action in addressing the issue. And time now for international update. Most of the U.S. is heading in the wrong direction again as the nation closes in on 200,000 COVID-19 deaths despite making progress after a difficult summer. In 31 states, the number of new COVID-19 cases has increased by at least 10% this past week compared to the previous week, according to the latest data from Johns Hopkins University. Only 4 states, Delaware, Hawaii, Louisiana, and Michigan, have had decreases of more than 10%. 15 states are all holding steady, including Alaska, Arkansas, California, Georgia, Illinois, Maryland, Nevada, North Carolina, Ohio, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Virginia, and Washington state. The test positivity rate and the percentage of new test results that are positive is rising in 25 states, according to the COVID tracking project. The updated guidance from the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says the coronavirus can be commonly spread through viral particles in the air. Meanwhile, India's COVID-19 case tally crossed 5.4 million mark with a spike of over 92,600 new cases and 1,133 deaths reported as of the latest updates. And in our public voice segment, we had asked the local residents of Sindhupalchok why have the relief amounts sent by donors not been distributed to the flood and landslide victims. Let's take a look at what they have to say.
Public voice.
हात बार्नको लागि एकदमै प्रतिस्पर्धा भइरहेको छ जहाँसम्म लाग्छ यो नेताहरूको चाहिँ चुनावी तालमेल मिलाउने एउटा त्यो होडबाजी हो कि जस्तो लाग्छ
राहतको विषयले लिएर चाहिँ उनीहरू आगामी निर्वाचनमा आफ्नो भोट अथवा आफ्नो मतदातालाई फकाउन चाहन्छन्
अरूलाई देखाउने मात्रै हुन्छ तर रात चाहिँ समयमा गएन नि
भविष्यमा चाहिँ मत आफ्नो पार्टीमा मत बढी ल्याओस् भन्ने हिसाबले पनि उनीहरू प्रतिस्पर्धामा गएर
जनप्रतिनिधिले अब आफ्नो पार्टीको कार्यकर्ताको संरक्षणको लागि नै हो.
And now time for our segment Public Pulse, where it texts us with their opinion.
Public Pulse.
And the question is, why hasn't the government made any considerable efforts in releasing the containers stuck at the Chinese transits? Your options are option A, effect of pandemic, option B, weak diplomacy, and option C, apathy towards traders. The voting is on. Type in AWS, select your option A, B, or C, and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. And before we wrap up, here's a look at the top stories one more time. Ruling Nepal Communist Party's Secretariat Committee recommends the Prime Minister reshuffle the cabinet, criteria to retain and release ministers on the cards. A total number of 1,325 new cases of COVID-19 confirmed in the country yesterday, taking the total tally past 64,000. Health guidelines openly flouted. The U.S. closes in on 200,000 COVID-19 deaths despite making progress after a difficult summer. India's COVID-19 case tally crosses 5.4 million mark. And Delhi Capitals come from the brink to win against Kings 11 Punjab in Super Over in the second encounter of the Indian Premier League. And those were our latest headlines. Stay with us for more news and entertainment on KTVSD. Stay safe and good day.